Hello and welcome back to the Fantasy Playmakers. What is up, guys? In this video, I'm going to be going through my start sits at the running back position. So this is where I break down every single week 15 matchup and list every fantasy relevant running back is either a start or a sit. They're going to be timestamps down below. So if you just want to jump around to your specific RBs, that is totally fine. But just do me a huge favor, hit that like button and then subscribe to the channel. Let's get started with the Thursday night football matchup between the Chiefs and the Chargers. I believe the winner of this game sets himself up to be number one in the division. So big matchup here, for NFL standings. And for fantasy, on the Chiefs side, I'm going to be starting Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's really nice to see him getting into the end zone. Both CEH and Darrell Williams are both going to be heavily involved in this offense, but I do think CEH is going to see those RB1 touches, and I would definitely have him as a start, Darrell Williams as a sit. And then for the Chargers, this could be a tough situation here. Austin Ekeler left Sunday's game with an ankle injury. After the game, Joe Staley came out and said that Austin Ekeler could have returned, but they just kind of held him back. But then we also heard that if the Chargers did practice on Monday, he would not have been a full participant or even participating at all. So it does look like his status is up in the air. Obviously, if he's starting, you throw him into your lineup. Even if he's not seeing, his normal huge workload, he should still be very involved and in there on key plays. If he doesn't play, you're going to see some sort of committee between Justin Jackson and Joshua Kelly. Unless we get some indication that one of those guys is going to lead the backfield, I would rather just kind of stay away from that if Ekeler is out. Now let's shift over to Saturday, where we have the Raiders taking on the Browns. And I'm just going to be starting both of these RB1s. For the Raiders, Josh Jacobs locked in, probably high-end RB2. For the Browns, Nick Chubb is a start. Unfortunately, it looks like Kareem Hunt is going to be doubtful for this game with what I believe is an ankle injury. He's definitely been struggling to stay on the field, so definitely tough for Kareem Hunt owners. But Nick Chubb is going to be a lock in lineups per usual. Then we have the Patriots taking on the Colts. For the Patriots, I'm listing Damian Harris as a start. We don't know if he's going to be 100% healthy, but if he is good to go, if he plays in this game, I want him in my lineup. If he is out, I would move Ramondre Stevenson from a sit to a start because then he would be taking the RB1 touches. And then regardless of what happens, I have Brandon Bolden on the bench. For the Colts, probably the RB1 this week in my weekly rankings. Jonathan Taylor, never been a more obvious start. Then we've got a divisional game between the Cowboys and the Giants. Kind of two stud RB1s who haven't really lived up to their fantasy potential this season. For the Cowboys, we don't know what's going on with Tony Pollard, whether he's going to play or not. Either way, you're starting Zeke. Even though he's not getting that full workload, he's getting, borderline RB1 touches on a very solid offense. So you'll probably be seeing production, closer to a mid-tier RB2, maybe even back-end RB2, but someone that I do think you can still start. I'm sitting Tony Pollard or whoever the RB2 is. And then for the Giants, you keep firing up Saquon. Definitely been disappointing. He had a solid outing on Sunday, so hopefully that can continue. In an ugly overall matchup between the Texans and the Jaguars, you continue to sit this entire Texans backfield, whether it's Rex Burkhead, Royce Freeman, or David Johnson. They are all sits. For the Jaguars, I'm just so ready for Urban Meyer to get out of there. James Robinson, I think he had like 5 or 6 carries. That was it against the Titans. They got to get this man in. Definitely tough, just the usage, the incompetence from the coaching, but I still think you got to fire him up as a solid RB2 play. In the Titans-Steelers matchup, you're starting Deonta Foreman. He dominated the touches in the first half and actually was performing pretty well. I think he got a little nicked up in the second half, so we actually saw McNichols and Hilliard kind of catch up in those opportunities. But if everyone's healthy, it looks like Foreman is going to be the RB1. And then for the Steelers, nothing crazy going on here. Najee Harris start every single week. Jets-Dolphins is up next here, and for the Jets, there are some things kind of up in the air. Michael Carter is eligible to return from IR, so if he comes back, I think he's a solid start in this game. If he does not return, I would just kind of avoid this committee of Ty Johnson, Tevin Coleman, and LaMichael Pirine. For the Dolphins, I think you still fire up Myles Gaskin as a solid start, Salvon Ahmed on a sit. The RB2 or RB3 and Phillip Lindsay just went on the COVID list, so it doesn't look like he is going to be a factor. Washington is then going to travel to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. For Washington, I think you fire up Antonio Gibson as a solid running back play, and then sit in J.D. McKissic if he is healthy. For the Eagles, I think you lock in Miles Sanders as like a mid to back end RB2, and then sit whoever is operating as their RB2, whether it's Jordan Howard, Boston Scott, or maybe even Kenneth Gainwell. Just sit in either of those three backs. Then we have the Cardinals taking on the Lions. For the Cardinals, just finished playing on Monday night. I'm recording it right after this game. It looked like James Conner kind of went down with injury, basically on like the second to last play. So if he's healthy, he's a lock, even if Chase Edmonds is active. If for some reason he's unable to play in this game and Chase Edmonds gets activated, then Edmonds is a very solid start. So definitely some things up in the air. But if both Conner and Edmonds are healthy, I would start Conner and sit Edmonds. Just kind of got to see what his role looks like with James Conner being so dominant as of late. And then for the Lions, it looks like DeAndre Swift could make his return. Sounds like he's day-to-day here. So if he's back, he's a locked-in start. If Jamal Williams is back and Swift is out, then Swift is going to be a start. If Swift is out and DeAndre Swift is out, I think you just fade this entire backfield. A lot of weird situations here with COVID, injuries, kind of making it tough to analyze a lot of these backfields. We're moving on to some other tough backfields here in the Panthers Bills game. For the Bills, I think you fire up Chuba Hubbard as Christian McCaffrey's handcuff, who now is getting these solid RB1 touches. He's probably like a mid-tier RB2 play this week. For the Bills, you just got to stay as far away as possible from this running back room. Devin Singletary, Matt Breida, Zach Moss, not interested in any of those players. Then we have the Bengals taking on the Broncos. For the Bengals, continue to fire up Joe Mixon as a really strong RB1 play. Sit in Samaje Perine, even though he is seeing some work in the receiving game. For the Broncos, I've kind of been fading this committee here between Williams and Gordon, but I feel like it's gotten to the point where they're both able to produce at a fantasy level, basically splitting the touches 50-50, which is pretty rare, especially on an offense that just is not that good. But I do think we've kind of reached a point. Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon are both going to be starts. Then we have the Falcons taking on the 49ers. For the Falcons, Cordero Patterson, really strong play in your lineup. Sit in Mike Davis. He had a decent involvement in the receiving game, but it's not something I think you can count on week to week. And then for the 49ers, if Elijah Mitchell is back, he's a locked-in play. If he's not back and it's Jeff Wilson, he's definitely kind of on the fringe. It's not great for the running back position with Deebo Samuel eating into those touches, but this is another backfield we're kind of just going to have to evaluate as the week goes on. Then it's going to be a divisional game between the Seahawks and the Rams. Seahawks, another backfield that's kind of up in the air. It looks like they want to give Rashad Penny that workhorse role, so he's going to be on the fringe. This isn't an easy Rams defense to run against, and I think I'm going to make the decision that I want Rashad Penny on the bench. You've got Alex Collins. This is going to be a committee. This is not a cake matchup like they had in Week 14. So if you're desperate, he's not the worst play, but I would rather go in a few different directions. And then for the Rams, on the graphic, you can see I have Darrell Henderson and Sony Michel both listed as starts. We also don't know how this backfield is going to shake out. So basically, I want to start whoever's going to operate as the RB1. This may be one of those situations where you have to check back in later in the week. Maybe Henderson's healthy, but it's starting to look like a committee. So a lot of different kind of variations that could unfold there. Then we have the Packers taking on the Ravens. For the Packers, man, A.J. Dillon is cutting into Aaron Jones' workload. Jones is still getting the valuable touches with the receiving work and the goal line carries, but I think honestly both of them have kind of become fantasy relevant plays. They both have a solid, established amount of touches in that offense. So they're both going to be starts. For the Ravens, you're sitting Devontae Freeman and starting Latavius Murray. Then we have Sunday Night Football, divisional game, rivalry matchup between the Saints and the Bucks. For the Saints, Alvin Kamara is back, and he looked fantastic on Sunday. You're firing him up as a very strong RB1 play. Sit in Mark Ingram if he is back. For the Bucks, don't get cute here. Leonard Fournette continues to operate as a high-end RB1. And then for the final game of the week, Monday Night Football, we have the Vikings taking on the Bears. You're just going to be starting both of these workhorses, Dalvin Cook and David Montgomery. Really, really strong plays in your lineups. And that is going to wrap it up for my Week 15 running back start sits. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be posting my wide receivers today, and then the quarterbacks and tight ends tomorrow. So go check all of that out. Thank you guys for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.